We're just going to give others a chance to join us, Evie. If you just be patient and waiting on others. Just going to give it 2 more minutes and then we'll start promptly at 7 p.m. Thank you for your patience. All right, it looks like we're about at that time. So let's begin. Thank you for joining EB. My name is Christine. Just want to oh, Elizabeth, that's you.
That's me.
I'm seeing you. Hi, welcome. I didn't know
Thank
who that was at all. Thank
That was me
thank
sending you text messages. Hey, I've got to go walk my dogs.
All right, welcome. I am glad you're here. So, this evening we're going to be talking about understanding the loan documents, and this is for new notaries and notaries that are well seasoned alike. So last week, what we did was talked about understanding the loan signing agent's role, and that's available if you're interested on YouTube. We
Okay.
looked at the terms and definitions, and we looked at the terms and definition. What is a loan signing agent versus who's a notary signing agent? We also looked at the journey before it get, of the loan before it
Uh-huh.
gets to the notary signing agent.
Got you.
And then we also looked at what title companies expect as a NSA, what they expect from you as if you're a notary signing agent, and how to avoid the unauthorized practice of law, UPL. And then we talked about professionalism and recovery. And we also looked a little bit on what my brand, Far and Near, has to offer. Today, we're going to go a little bit into some specific loan documents. This is not an exhaustive list. It's just a few of them that I selected, and
Okay.
the note, the deed of trust, the closing disclosure, the Patriot Act form, the signature affidavit,
Mm,
and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the notary journal and business logbook that I have.
mm-hmm.
So just a quick disclosure, we want to welcome you once again to the Far and
Thank
Near
you.
Masterclass series. And I'm Christine. And in this space, we focus on clarity, confidence, and practical options for new and notaries at every stage. My goal is to help you understand the landscape, explore different approaches, and choose method that fit your workflow and state's specific requirement. This series is educational, it's not prescriptive. Every notary's process is unique, and your state law always takes precedence. So let's explore today's topic with a focus on best practices, professional standards, and informed decision making.
This actually goes right along with what I'm studying in school.
Okay, good, good.
Perfect time and God's good.
Okay, so the note, we want to talk about what the NSA needs to know when he or she looks at the note, right?
Okay.
So I tend to take it from the perspective I have had worked in the mortgage field a little bit, and
Yeah.
so I'm approaching it from that standpoint. This is by no means a hard and fast approach. It's my approach. So
Okay.
you're going to check essentially the entire package for completeness. You're not going to, the borrowers that are indicated on the 1003 should be the same borrowers that are on the note, and you're just checking the name for accuracy. Sometimes only one borrower is on 1003. That's the loan, the uniform loan application.
Uh-huh.
And if so, only that borrower will sign the note, right?
Okay.
This is typical for families that have a stay-at-home parent and one income generated by the working parent or
Gotcha.
something like that. So remember, you can tell the borrowers the where, the what, the who, but you cannot discuss how or why. You don't discuss
Okay.
terms, but you need to know where to point the borrower if the question does come up. Like if they're asking you about the note, you need to be able to say, okay, you can look here on the note to see where the terms of the loan are, but you can't tell them, if they say, so why is my rate so high or anything like that, that's not in your
Gotcha. That's in your loan, your more, yeah, your loan officer.
right. So
Okay.
you don't discuss terms, but you know where to point the bar if a question arises. And you're going to be reviewing the package for completeness. As an NSA, you don't want to get too deep into the loan, but you do want to catch any issues and discuss it if needed with the title or the lender or the signing company. Remember that mistakes can happen, especially when everybody's at the end of the month. So you want to essentially be a valued partner to demonstrate this sort of vigilance.
Okay.
That is part of your role.
Okay.
All right, so here's an example. I didn't go too deep into it, but if you look to the right side, it would be the left side of your screen. Here's an example of a note. I took this, it's blank pretty much, but you would see something of this sort where the interest would be here, where my
Hmm.
and the the payment amount, but essentially that's how it would appear.
It's actually on the right, my right side,
It
right
is on your,
screen. Yeah, it is on my
okay,
right side.
okay,
And
cool.
it's too tiny for me to be able to read.
All right. Then, so we move along. here on the next page, you would have more information, like the terms of the loan. It's not the
Okay.
terms, but the conditions, like if it is in default, and that sort of thing, what it would. But that the point is just to bring an example on screen so you can
Okay.
see what it looks like. And this is where the borrower, where the highlights are, that's where the borrower would have to sign.
Right. Okay. Or a
Mhm.
cosigner, correct?
Yes, or the co-borrower.
Yeah.
If you have two, uh, like a borrower and a co-borrower, you would have the borrower and
Gotcha.
then yeah, so both of them would be required to sign the loan. So
Gotcha.
if both of them, their income are being considered as part of the loan.
Okay.
Right. But if you do have, which is what I was trying to say early on, you do have instances where like for your medical professional or your engineer or somebody who is a professional and he wants his wife or one of the spouse stays at home, that sort of thing. So that's where
Okay.
you'd have a one bar on the 1003. And so that particular bar would be required to sign the note, but you wouldn't see a co-bar.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right. All
Gotcha.
right.
Okay.
And then let's look at the deed of trust now. This it says, as a notary signing agent, once you receive the loan package from title, your goal is to review where you need to both have this borrower sign and where you need to notarize, right?
Okay.
Remember that one of your main goals, like here, is for you to administer the oath. You need to administer the oath on the deed of trust because it's a sworn statement. And
Okay. So I would literally have to do that.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, it's recommended. A lot of notaries don't do that. They just go and
Yeah.
but
I,
it is a part of if you're take just like if I go into another notary, they would ask me to raise my right hand and make a
yeah.
sworn statement. But I think sometimes, we forget the importance of those little details.
Right.
Mhm. So
So,
as a critical document, it makes sense to ensure also when you're, just looking through, you're not review like a deep review, but you're ensuring accuracy. You want to check that the vesting is present. And
and
you
explain to
can't,
me what the vesting is exactly.
so if you're purchasing a home or yeah, if let's go from that handle. If
Okay.
you're purchasing a home, you're going to have a conversation with your loan officer and he's going to say, how would you like to hold title?
Oh,
And
okay.
so I don't want to go too deep because that's
I
not
got
the
you.
point that the notary doesn't do all of that, but they
Right.
do need to know that this is a point that needs to be, you need to at least see that it's present, which is what I
Okay.
was just going to say. So it becomes a little tricky because typically title companies, they don't enclose like the source documents in the file when they send it out for closing. That's just not typically done. But sometimes if it's like I think if it's a purchase transaction, you may see those some items in there that can be considered source document. I don't want to go that deep
That's
into
okay.
it. I'm just kind of talking about how, as a new notary, some of the little points that are important to
It's
understand.
very interesting to see this and learn it because I sat with all the people in the auto industry, in our dealerships for all three dealerships that sat there with me. And I got to listen to all these conversations and all the things that they did there. So, and even had to sign my name, for some different things as a buyer, for our dealership. It was kind of cool. It's very interesting to see it on this end.
I'm glad you're appreciating it. Really
Yes.
glad. Okay, so where did I stop off? So depending
I
on the transaction type, some other documents can provide clues, but again, I don't want to go into, we're
yes,
not closers, we're just making sure that it's present. So the
and
point
accurate.
is, yeah, the point is to ensure that you have a basic understanding of what's happening behind the scenes, to direct your attention to what should be present and consistent in a loan package
Okay.
and the critical documents. So vesting, loan amount, rate, those things, you just want to make sure it's there, it's documented. So you also going to follow your lender's instruction to ensure that initials are used if required, because that sometimes they have I don't know why lawyers do it. I think it's with if the law if certain lawyers, certain lenders, they use a particular attorney to prepare their loan packages, and they
Yes.
want you to initial every single page of the deed of trust. I haven't seen that in a long time, but I
It's
know
been a
that
long
they
time too, but yes, they sure do,
yeah.
and they'll take forever.
Yeah, they'll want you to initial it. Another little bit of detail that you want to know with signing like a deed of trust or mortgage, depending on which state we're talking about, you want to ensure that the name that is present is accurate. So, like for example, here I put
That's
if you
right.
have like Johnny P. Hancock, you must sign exactly as Johnny P. Hancock. It cannot be Johnny Hancock. That's not gonna be
Gotcha.
acceptable. So they're gonna probably send you back to get it corrected, and you don't want that.
No,
So,
you don't want that. That takes too
right,
long.
right. All right, so the closing disclosure, moving on to that. The closing disclosure is similar, like back in the days, we used to call this the HUD-1 settlement statement. So
Oh,
this with all of the restructuring that we've had with the mortgage industry, they've
yeah.
settled on the closing disclosure. So this is what they call it. It shows the cash that the borrower needs to either pay or what they're going to be receiving, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Got it.
you want, as a notary signing agent, you want to do a quick check for consistency again just to make sure everything is present in terms of the name, the address, the loan amount. You're just scanning to making sure that everything is present as it should be and it's consistent throughout the package.
Gotcha.
The key portion that the notary signing agent want to look at is at the bottom, like on the first page of the closing disclosure, the bottom, what we call the bottom line. It's either cash to or cash from borrowers. So if it's a purchase transaction, more than likely you're going to have cash. They're going to be paying cash, right? And they're going to
Uh-huh.
be you have to take in cash to the closing table. If it's a refinance, because more often than not, it's either you have your borrowers, they're trying to either get a better rate or they're cashing out. They're doing a cash out refinance or they're doing
Oh,
a
okay.
rate term refinance. It just depends on the purpose of the loan. Again, I am saying too much, but I'm trying
Well,
to point the key point is to look at that bottom line figure. That's where the notary signing agent is going to direct his or her attention.
okay.
Yeah, if you work with a particular client, meaning a title company or a bank, a lender, you're going to become aware of their procedures, right? That
Right.
is, yeah, do they accept a minimum amount in personal checks? Like if you are required to collect funds from the borrower, you want to know, they would have that on the instruction, but I'm
Right.
just pointing it out. But you do want to understand what is okay so that you don't end up like Emma on, because sometimes what happens when you're a new notary, you will end up not reading the instructions and you go at the table,
Yeah.
winging it. And I would,
Right.
yeah, I think that's a
Yeah,
bad
it's not a
thing.
pleasant adventure there.
No, no, because not pleasant at all. So you need to know that before going to the closing table, read the lender's instruction, know what is expected so you go prepared when the borrower asks, okay, because sometimes I've had that where I'm at the closing table and they're asking me things and I'm like, okay, I honestly don't know. And I would not want the same experience for others because I've been in that situation early when I began doing
Ah,
this.
yeah.
I didn't know. And it is just through the process of learning to read the lender's instruction and understanding what's expected.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so here's an example of, I just pulled this example for you to see the first page right here at the bottom.
Yeah.
It tells you this is cash to close. So, but it does have a check mark. It says cash to
To
borrow.
borrow. Yeah.
Right. So more than likely, this is a refinance. And it tells you up here, it's a loan type, it's a 30-year loan. The purpose is a refinance, it tells you, right? It's a conventional loan. So all of this detail that you may not want to dive into that, but it's present. So you understand
Mhm.
that they are receiving money back,
Okay.
right? And there's documents, there are going to be some documents in the file that they would need to decide, okay, how do I want this wired to me or do I want it sent by a check?
Right.
Right. So that's another thing that can occur. And then they're pretty much just going to sign on this page here. So you'll have
Okay.
this is what that page is. Of course, it's nice to have a pack of these. The sign.
I will totally agree with that one.
Yeah, it helps. It helps you keep organized. But
Yes.
yes. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so this is an important role that the notary signing agent plays.
Yes. I'll agree.
The Patriot Act form is the document used to notate the lender's identification information for the lender. They often collect a copy of the driver, whether I think it's a driver's license. Typically, most people use their driver's license, so
Hmm.
that's going to be collected as well at the closing table.
Okay. Is that the Patriot Act form? That's not a military thing?
Um,
Because in the
I
military, we have one, and I
okay.
wasn't sure. So it's different.
What this is, I'm glad you asked the question. What this is because um they had a lot of money laundering problems happening. It was becoming very prevalent. So I think when they had this entire overhaul of the mortgage industry, they started to
Yes.
implement measures that to combat money laundering. And this was one of the measures that they
That's
put in
good.
place. So so people were, so people can't um get money like through fraudulent means, because that's the
Right.
point of being a notary. Your responsibility is to deter fraud. And so here in blue, you would have all of that information filled out already. And
Okay.
in the yellow section right here, this is where you're going to notate like if it's a driver's license
Hmm.
or I
Gotcha. That's,
yeah, if it's a driver's
yeah.
license, you notate that. And the NNA states, I believe they state you cannot photocopy the military ID. That's not permitted. But
Really?
yes, you
Okay.
can't. That's something that I learned recently. You cannot make a photocopy of it. It's it's not permitted. So that's something new.
I'm glad you
The
told me that.
Yes. And so the notary signing agent will record the identification information and sign. It's a certification here where you see this X.
Where is it? Yes,
Yeah. So
gotcha.
they're going to sign here. They're going to put their title, then they print their name and date it because it says here above the clause says, I certify that I have personally viewed
That's right.
accurately. Yes, so they're going to note it, and this is going to
Right.
go back to the lender.
Got you.
So that's
And it's
basically
so, and it is correct. It is two forms of ID. Is that correct?
um
Or does it?
not in all cases.
Okay.
I think they've asked for just one form. I can double check on that
Okay.
and tell you, but some more often than not, I just have one form. But if it is
Okay.
like I think if it is a certain loans, because I've had a couple of
Yeah.
military loans, and for whatever reason they do ask sometimes for two forms of ID. But you
Right.
see up
Okay.
here where it says primary form of identification and secondary form of identification. Yes, sometimes when there is like a purchase,
Uh-huh.
they'll go through that. I believe that's the case. They'll ask
Okay.
for it at a purchase. Or if there's some other overarching reason, but I've had a couple of signing recently and it's just one form of ID.
Okay.
That's yeah. But it does say at the top here of this document, this particular one, we require two forms of
Got
identification
you.
for each to comply with section 326 of the Act. I don't know if when the loan is originated, because the funny thing is you see it here, some of the secondary forms of
Yeah.
ID are birth certificate, social
Yeah.
security. So it kind of tells me that, if you're originating the loan and you're verifying the social security, they're gonna take a copy of that at the beginning. So maybe um at the like when they have finally processed the loan, underwrite the loan, and it gets to where it's being closed, um they don't require it. But I've had situations where it's just one form of ID that they're being asked for.
I think it was in my concealed carry permit and my firearm permit that I had to have two forms of ID, and that
Mhm.
was my military, and I believe it was my uh, voter registration or something, or my social security card. I think was the other thing, but that's what I thought is that it does it on some, and I think also when I had my prepared for my armed guard certification when I got my license to be an armed guard, I think that was the other time that I had to provide two. So that's really good to know that sometimes it will only be one. And like you said, I will have to actually read what it says to make sure.
Right. Reading is essential.
Agreed.
Yes. Yes. So this we can move along. So this I would recommend if that as a notary signing agent, because each lender have I pretty much pulled an example of this from just to show, to
Right.
demonstrate what some of the cases are. My documentations are not from a particular set of file or from any particular um lender. So, but I
Okay.
do think that this form is standardized. So yes, if it says two forms of ID, when you go to the signing table, get two forms of ID as
Okay.
a notary sign. Yeah, you're just
Gotcha.
certifying accuracy. All right, so affidavit.
Affidavits.
So yeah, those are going to be, if you're doing loan signing, if that's your niche, Those are another forms of document that requires notarization. And the definition of an affidavit is a formal written statement sworn to or affirming the validity of the information contained in the document that you're signing, right?
Uh-huh.
Common affidavits in a loan package include like signature affidavit, name affidavit, or owner's affidavit. There are a lot of affidavit. There's errors. I put errors and omission because I think that's another form of affidavit. It may say that because I've
Okay.
seen like errors and omission agreement versus affidavit. It may not be worded in the same way.
Okay.
Yeah, but it certainly is a possibility. But these are the ones that are common: the signature affidavit, name affidavit. If it's a purchase package, it's gonna have owner's affidavit because the lenders normally ask for that.
Okay.
So I did mention all of those. And for the owner's affidavit, it's used to validate the primary residence to ensure there's no cloud on the title,
Okay.
no, no liens or judgment. So yeah. All right. And then we're going to talk about the stacking order. For,
Okay.
if this is your niche, you're going to see that, right? This is this
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's kind of old school because a lot of time notaries they receive this package and they're not necessarily aware of what happened. It would be a disservice if you, for example, shuffle the documents around and don't
Oh,
put them
yeah.
back. Yeah, don't put them back in the same order. So that this is the reason why I'm mentioning it. So in in time before the loan software, it's we're now technologically
Right.
advanced. Yeah. So there was physical file and some items were kept on the left, some were kept on the right, right? The left side
Mm-mm.
of the folder held the supporting documents for the underwriters, and the right side had the loan document. And now we've digitized everything. So if you look over here, I'm just giving a visual of what it looked like. And then here underneath the bottom here, you see how they kind of converted the concept to a digital format. So they would
We
just,
did that in the loan industry, in the
Mhm.
auto loan when
Yeah.
people were buying cars. I did some of that. That's very interesting to
Mhm.
know.
Yes. Right. So the NSA's role is to maintain the integrity of the document order and
Okay.
not to reshuffle it. And one of the things I share my experience, right? So if, for example, you use those sign here stickies just to
Yes.
prepare your document, because it helps
Yes, it
to
does.
when you're dealing with paper to have the little stickies on it and say, okay, especially if it's a large file, make sure you take them off because you will have you have somebody screaming at you. Even if you
Yes.
get everything right, they get their package back and they have to be removing these stickies. Yes, I'm guilty.
Yes.
I've done that.
Especially when they get scanned and it rolls off the actual paper and it sticks in your scanner. That's
Yeah,
not cool.
yeah. I didn't think it would have been a problem, but
You found out the hard
I
way.
yes, I learned the hard way. So I'm trying to save others the same trouble.
Oh,
All right.
that's very interesting.
So we're kind of winding down. So here I've put together something. This is my notary journal and business logbook. I've put this together to
I
help
like
those who
that.
are. Thank you. Yeah, so again, I appreciate the support. If you find this series to be very helpful, or a notary public who may be interested in just getting some more valuable information, this journal is chock full of a lot of information to kind of help you navigate that. And it's available on my website. So please uh, feel free to, you know, help
Get the
me get
word
it
out.
launched. Yes, help me get
Sure.
it launched. I have it
I
ready
hope
to
know a
go.
lot. I know a lot of notaries. A lot.
Good. So I'm going to
Yes.
pass that information on to you because I do think that this is a good tool, good information, especially if they're new, because that's the point, that's the
Okay.
point of what my objective is to provide this free resource. But
That's
that's
nice.
it. Do you have any question, thoughts, or feedback at this time, Miss?
You did a very, very good job. And the thoughts that I have about it is this is going to be really good. Um, Getting the word out is going to be probably the hardest thing is making sure we tell people about it. And I hope you do very, very well at it. Now, are there other types of forms or we were just doing those
Yes,
basic loan and okay, that's what I thought.
I just picked a few to
That was a good
highlight
idea.
there. But that by no means is exhaustive. It's just, and it's
Yeah.
not even a complete package. I just picked some of the main ones that I think would be important to know what to look for.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, then in that case, I think you've done a great job, and I would definitely love to talk to you later on about some things that
Okay.
you might be able to help me with.
Right. So here's the website that I have up. I'm still working on building my links and I do have, I've been presenting this sometimes. I've been alone on here, but I think that the information is important. I had a couple of like two young ladies joined last week, so I was expecting them again.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited that you are here today. Really,
Me
really
too.
glad.
I found
Mhm.
out a lot more about you that helps me to know more, and we will definitely be talking here in just a few minutes when we get a chance.
Okay. Well, thank you, and we
Thank
will.
you.
All right, good. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.